pick up the Dratus framework, and while we're going there, I'll explain what the purpose of doing that is. The Dratus framework is actually an organizational tool for putting information together in one place. So as we're going through a penetration test and doing ethical hacking, there are a number of tools that we'll be using, and of course all of these different tools will provide output. In addition to that, we'll be doing a lot of manual testing, and we'll want to make notes of the different things that we find and be able to keep those organized somewhere. So Dratus actually provides us the ability to organize all of this information in one place, and we can not only import the output from the various tools. So you can see here it supports Burp Scanner, Nessus, Nexpose, Nikto, Nmap, OpenVAS, OSVDB, Retina, SureCheck, and a number of other tools that are pretty common in doing penetration testing or ethical hacking. So we've got this Dratus framework, and it gives us the ability to import all of the data from all of these, and as it says here, it provides a centralized repository of information, so we know that what we have done and what we need to do, and along the way, of course, we can keep notes in terms of what we've done and where we're going and the things that we actually want to focus in on. Some of these tools can provide a lot of information, and so it's really helpful to have one place to keep that information so that we can be able to reference things easily, and having one place to put all of this data gives us the ability to cross-reference information as well. So I'm here at the Dratus Framework website, and you can see on the right hand side there's a download link, and we're just going to download the installer for Windows in this case. Now Dratus is based on Ruby, and so it's easy to install this on Linux in addition to Windows. So we're just going to download Dratus here, and then we'll do the install afterwards. Again, to be clear why we're doing this, as we go through the different scenarios here and look at the different tools, we're going to be generating a lot of output, and we really want one place to keep that output so that we can look at it quickly and easily. We don't have to go digging through different directories perhaps, or different interfaces in order to find the information. So Nessus, for example, or Nexpose both have web interfaces, and you can go there and look up the information for the scans that you have done with those particular tools. But that's not really that convenient, because now I've got to go to Nessus, and then I've got to go check Nmap, and then I've got to go check Burp Suite, and I've got to go look in a lot of different places for information. Dratus gives us the ability to put all of the information in one place, and of course it can parse the output from a lot of these different tools and put it into this framework in a coherent way so we can better organize it and see what's actually going on. So the framework here is just about completed, and we're going to move forward in another lesson here and actually do the install. So at this point we've downloaded Dratus and we need to do the installation. You can see there's a number of dependencies that they call out. You need to have a Ruby interpreter, SQLite 3 libraries, and then the bundler gem. Now once we've downloaded and we've unzipped it, we can actually take a look here at the framework and what we've got. So this is what's actually in the package that you download once you have untarred and unzipped it. And the first thing that you need to do is you need to do a reset. And the reset is going to do a little bit of cleanup, but it's also going to make sure that your dependencies are satisfied, and make sure all of the Ruby plugins that are needed for Dratus to work are actually in place. So in this case, the dependencies are all there and we've got everything installed. So at this point, we're doing a checking for database migration, saving the backup, and now we're deleting attachments, cleaning the database, and all of that stuff. So once all of the dependencies are in place, then all you really need to do is you can just start the Dratus server here, and you would do that using start.sh. So again, we're running this under Linux, and Linux is really where Dratus is the most comfortable. There isn't a Windows package for this any longer. So you're going to run it under Linux, and we're just going to run the start shell script, and it's actually going to start up Ruby on Rails. You can see that it's booting up WebRick, and we're doing Rails 3.2.0. We've generated a certificate so that we can do HTTPS, and now we've actually got the application started up, and here's the URL where we would access it. So just the IP address, and then the port is 3004. So this is actually all of the certificate information right here that was generated when we started up Dratus. And now all we've got to do is bring up Dratus inside of a web browser, and then we can actually get going with all of the work that we're going to do with installing notes and importing data into Dratus from the various tools that we're going to be using. Now that we've got Dratus installed, we can actually start it up. So the first thing I need to do is go and find Dratus here in the list of programs, and you can see there's a start server. And what that's going to do is it's going to launch Ruby on Rails and load up the application. So once the application is running, we can go to the website for the application, which of course is stored here on the local host 127.0.0.1, and the port that they have chosen is port 3004. So we're going to connect to port 3004, and we're going to log in. Now, it's actually logged me in. I've created the login previously, and before that it would actually ask you to create a server password which is shared across all of the users. So the first thing we see here is a Dratus framework branch right here, or a folder, and inside of that is actually some documentation. So here's the documentation, it's what's new, and we can go to Getting Help, and it will load up the Getting Help page here. You can see inside this pane here is actually the list of notes that are inside this particular branch. So let's actually add a branch here, and we're going to call it internal testing. And what I want to do here is I actually want to import some information. So I'm going to import from file, and I'm going to use the new importer. And so that's going to bring up the importer, and I can select which type of file I'm going to upload. In this case, I'm actually going to import a Nikto file just to have something in the database here. So I'm going to go to my downloads, and I'm going to open up this file. It's actually going to do the importing for me. It says it's done. So we can go back to the framework page, and now we've got the information that was loaded in from Nikto. So you start to see that it creates this new branch here, and we've got the information that was generated from that Nikto XML file, and then we've got all of the results that Nikto was able to find. So it's a pretty simple web interface here, and we've got a number of folders, or branches as they call them here. You can see we can add branch. And then over here inside the branch, you can set categories and add notes. And over here we've got a configuration button, so we can change different configurations. And this has to do with the different plugins that are available, as well as just some basic information about Dratus and how it's actually running. And I'm not actually going to change anything here, so I'm going to close this out and go back to Dratus, and going to begin adding some notes and doing categories in the next couple of lessons.